What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. If you're curious about who I am, you can visit middlemaga.com. I have a little brief about section there, and then I put up videos from other channels and prior videos there. Thanks for joining. It's somber. I might get to. Hopefully I'll get to some lighter topics. We'll see how long I go on this one. But I forgot to include Rumble. Rumble, gosh, I don't want to get sidetracked. Let me breathe in. Let me take some deep breaths. I don't want to bitch about Rumble when there's bigger issues out there. Really need to do it 4 times, but that one really helped. I'm gonna move on from Rumble. Even Rumble is doing really well. I got to remember to set up the live stream for it. But here's the news. Breaking. Well, not breaking, but the serious news, the major news that I'm following right now. Patrons subdued gunmen who unlived at least 5 at Colorado club. We got updates. This is via the New York Times, and it is time for our country to have a serious discussion. I don't know what that means. Just people like I'm not even not politics or anything like that. We need to have serious discussions right now, and it's not. This is stemming from this incident, but I'm not really even talking about this incident. I'll show you in a second, but I want to talk about what's happened if you haven't heard. The authorities credited people inside the gay nightclub in Colorado Springs, which is close to me, within an hour from me, with stopping the gunman, who police say opened fire with a long rifle just before midnight. More than 24 were injured. Another scary situation. Then on top of that, you have the angle of this being I never heard of it in my life, but you learn something new every day, a famous LGBTQ nightclub. So now you have that, the historic nature of it I'm just listening to what they're saying on TV, what they're saying about it, on top of the identity, on top of 2A. It's almost like a perfect, sad storm of stories all combining together. And when that happens in our country, that is easy to be weaponized. And that's what's happening already. If someone can if they can come to us and tell us that for Nancy P, some bum off the street just walked up into her crib, the second in line really to president, we got Kamala, then her, and off the street and hammer her Paulie P, and then turn that into some type of anti-MAGA J6 narrative, what do you think they could do with this? And that's where it stems from. That's where my concern stems from. Let me take a second, say what's up to everybody in the chat. I will have a second, so I don't want to rush too fast. Black P, he chatted about an hour ago, said this happened 5 minutes away, and I should have hit him up because I know he's in that area. This happened 5 minutes away from his house. It's crazy. So that's going to rattle, the whole neighborhood, the whole community out there. Thanks for the comment, Black Pete. Berserker says the Dems need bodies to push their talking points. No lies detected, Berserker. Thanks for leaving that comment. Magical Pizza Gas Farts says this can only end favorably for Dems, gun grabbers, and other garden variety fascists. Damn it. And this is becoming, that's what I'm talking about. That's what got me to do this video, is where this is already going. And it almost shadows the empathy that we want to have for each other. So I want to start with that first, but that's where it's going. What's up, Jason Bracy? Good luck, humans. Thanks for stopping by. Another Delete Elite says, I'm just going to separate it from this just to make sure YouTube's not upset. This is just a comment in general, separated from the topic we're talking about. A Phoebe orchestrated outrage generator is what the lead elite friend of show, thank you for stopping by, says. I think that's fair to have. You can have that opinion, but that's kind of what this is about. I'll get there in a second. It's almost like you can't have that opinion anymore. It's getting very dangerous, starting with the Alex J trial. But here's the scene outside. They had tons of cops out there on the scene. The pictures, heart wrenching photos and pictures here this is via the New York Times. I did when was the Boulder, Colorado incident? I went down there. If you go back to the channel, I went down to the, I think, was it the King Supers? I went down to the grocery store and took film of what happened. And this kind of reminds me of that. A very, very difficult situation. Of course, that situation was obviously used to attempt to grab people's Second Amendment rights and take them away, at least in part. These are the pictures here. There's the Colorado Springs chief of police speaking, and other photos via the New York Times. The New York Times says what to know before we get into the talking about it. I want to understand what happened and be understanding here. This is a tragedy without question, of course. At least 5 people were killed when a man stormed into a LGBTQ nightclub in Colorado Springs just before midnight on Saturday and opened fire with a long rifle, the authorities said. Officials praised patrons inside the club for quickly subduing the gunman, though at least 25 people were injured in the mayhem. Here are the details. Early reports indicate that the suspect entered the nightclub wearing body armor and began firing with an AR-15 style rifle. According to 2 law enforcement officials briefed on the shooting, the club's owners, who were not there but have reviewed surveillance video, said the gunman entered the nightclub with tremendous firepower. The city's police chief, Adrian Vasquez, said in a news conference that the gunman had used a long rifle and 2 guns were recovered at the club. Officials later said that investigators were still working to determine who owned the rifle and other weaponry. Chief Vasquez identified the suspect as Anderson Lee Aldridge, 22, and said that officials were investigating the motive. So we don't know. And I just was watching, what's her name? Simone Sanders, right, on MSNBC. She, as of just like literally before I came down here, didn't have a motive to it. And this video is not going to be specifically about this incident. It's going to be about our reaction to it. A person of the same name and age was arrested by sheriff deputies last year after a threat in a residential area just outside Colorado Springs. The injured, including the suspect, were taken to several hospitals, officials said, adding that some people also drove themselves to seek treatment, making the exact number of injured unclear. Not all of the injuries were from the weapon, officials said. So I wonder if it was people running or something else. The FBI said that it was involved in the investigation, and many state and national lawmakers condemned the shooting. Who needs to condemn a shooting? Nobody wants a shooting. In a statement, Governor Jared Polis praised, if you don't know, he is openly gay. One of the better Democrat governors. He's still not, I did not vote for him. I am in Colorado, but he is one of the better Democrat governors. The reason I didn't vote for him in part was he was very disrespectful to people's decision during the pandemic. He praised the brave individuals at the nightclub, but he could be, if he had the money and backing, he would be a strong candidate for president, believe it or not. The nightclub who had blocked the person here, I don't want to use these words too much. President Biden said we cannot and must not tolerate hate. In a statement on his Facebook page, Club Q, where the shooting took place, said it was devastated by the senseless attack on our community. The shooting had echoes of the 2016 massacre at Pulse. Obviously remember that like it was yesterday, the gay nightclub in Orlando, where a person unlived 49 people and wounded 53 after proclaiming allegiance to this specific group. So that's the basic details there. Let me stop and see if, thanks for stopping by here. The lead elite says, so there is some information here. The lead elite says the person, the suspect here was known problem person who's been arrested multiple times. This was allowed The lead elite. Let me pause and then separate it so I don't want to connect the two just in case. But the lead elite says that someone could have been allowed. This could have been allowed to happen by someone in power. And the recurring theme is we do not have trust, and I don't blame the lead elite. I don't blame you. There's no reason for us to trust at this point, especially when you take an incident like I keep going back to the Nancy P stuff, but I don't think people understand that. Not people watching the channel, but the mainstream. I think people on the mainstream honestly don't understand why that's so important. Is you have a story, and you have not convinced me. So in my eyes, I think, and I'm not using any real names here. I'm just saying Nancy P, Paulie P. You can take whatever you want from that. I think you're lying to me. So I don't trust you. And then now you say, well, why don't you have empathy? Well, I do have empathy to a certain extent, because obviously I don't want Nancy P, Paulie P, or anybody to be hurt. But I need to address the lying first. I need that handled first. And that carries over to this. And the lead elite says, I don't trust this. How can you blame the lead elite? My statement on it isn't that strong. I don't blame the lead elite. I don't trust or distrust. I don't know. I'm just absorbing the information. But I will say I don't believe everything on face value. So that means you could push me closer to where the lead elite is based on that. So I have no problem with that. The trust is gone. And that basically is the theme. I had an interaction here with somebody on Twitter, and this is where the exchange of ideas happens. So it's not that surprising in any way, shape, or form. But I want to go through that and share that interaction. My first comment here. Let me make sure everything's shared. My first comment here is, this is how I mentioned this, and I'm not joking about this. I'm being very serious when I talk about the gulags. That's not necessarily next year. It could be 20 years down the road. It could be a generation down the road, which is about 20 years. But that's where we're heading slowly, or you could say very fast too. The speed is kind of hard to gauge. So this is how they try to get you in the gulags. What Shannon is doing here is despicable. And what I'm referring to is, now I have to open up an incognito to show it, or I would have to log out of Twitter altogether, because of this interaction, Shannon, which is her prerogative, chose to block me. It's very funny how these people, these corporatists, are very quick to block people that they don't agree with. It's because they know their ideas are indefensible. They don't want the discussion. That's why. And I'm perfectly fine with that, but it just shows you that how they view things. So I'm in the incognito browser now, and I don't care to. I'm only doing this because this is in my thread to show you what I was replying to. Beyond this, I couldn't care less. I do not like it, Elon, that people can block you on Twitter, but their name, I haven't seen that. I wouldn't even know, because I don't even get into that. I deal with topics, not people. But when somebody blocks you on Twitter, your name can still come out of their mouth. That, I don't understand how that works. They shouldn't be. I don't know if that's changed or not. They shouldn't be able to at you. They can talk about you or whatever, but they shouldn't be able to at you. And I'm not blocking her. I mean, if you block someone, it should probably be an automatic block both ways to me. But Twitter is a mess. Elon's trying to clean it up. But Shannon Watts here, I don't even know who she is. She is founder of Moms Demand, Grassroots, Army of Every Town, Fight Like a Mother. Like, why would somebody like that? She's obviously anti-2A, looks like NRA. Her location is in NRA's head, rent-free. So she might be somebody big that people know, has a lot of followers, 500,000 over. So I don't know. I don't know who it is. I follow Lindsey Boylan, that had the situation with Cuomo. I don't want to get too sidetracked. That's why I'm not going into the details. But I follow her. She retweeted this. I like Lindsey. She probably would block me too, but I have no problem with her. I actually like her, even though we disagree. on political things. But here's Shannon Watts. This is the tweet I was replying to. Shannon Watts here says, Lauren Boebert, a Colorado, so she's going to the same state, right-wing gun extremist and bigot. Well, that's a lot. What is a right-wing gun? What makes someone number one right-wing and someone a gun extremist? So I right-wing, I could see it. Okay, whatever. Gun extremist, I don't. What is that? How do you define that? Bigot, you just say these things. They said, Shannon Watts says that Lauren Boebert bears responsibility. Bodies are almost still warm. And you're saying that Lauren Boebert bears responsibility for the lawlessness that unlived at least 5 people and wounded 18 more in Colorado Springs last night? And then you quote tweet, take your children to church, not to these bars. That's why your comments like that is why you're trying to tie her into people being unlived. Then you see my concern. Obviously, this is not just on Twitter. We know that for a fact. We saw what happened to AJ. That's real life. What are they up to with him now? A trill? There's a lawsuit, and to my knowledge, what is it, over $1 billion? This is kangaroo court. This is Banana Republic. That's not Twitter. That's real life. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. If they sued AJ and he has to pay up a bill, Shannon Watts looks like she has some little focus behind her, little power behind her. Then she goes after Lauren Boebert saying, extremists, why wouldn't the families of the people who got unlived think about suing Lauren Boebert? We're in a little bit a different area because AJ was saying it didn't happen. Lauren Boebert isn't saying it didn't happen, but it's not that much different. AJ didn't do anything. It's just what he said. And that's what they're using. Turn on MSNBC, turn on the major networks. The libs of TikTok, her name is coming out of their mouth. I haven't heard that until now. I've heard it on Fox, but libs of TikTok, Matt Walsh, they're going after the top people who speak out against gender ideology, like they have anything to do with this. So that's where I first, started taking a look like, wow, this is more intense than even 2016 with the Pulse situation. So I responded to say, so I did say what Shannon said was despicable because it has to be said. I'm not trying to have beef. I'm not name calling like she is. I said what she said, what she's doing here is despicable. I didn't even say she's a despicable person. I don't know her. But she's the one calling Lauren Boebert a bigot and all that kind of stuff. I'm not doing what she's doing. Then my second comment is, well, you're trying to pass responsibility on to your political enemy because you care about 2A, obviously, and other political issues. So I said, here's what we need to do. We all need to take responsibility. So I'm fine if you go to Lauren Boebert and say, hey, this is how I feel. But we all need, including Shannon and other people, myself, everybody watching this, we need to take responsibility for respecting each other. We don't know each other. We don't trust each other. That's what we've just been talking about this whole time. Shannon, let's figure out how to get to a better place. I'm going to go to the bottom of this thing, and that's really where I'm at right now. I said at the I think I was my last tweet here. Gosh, Twitter, the threads on Twitter are so, if you reply to the wrong thread, it gets hidden. But basically, I was just saying Matt Walsh, libs of TikTok, all that. At some point, we have to stop with here's my point, here's your point. It's just about how do we live, how do we go on living together? Everybody's involved with that. You want to see how they view people who disagree? They're going to leverage this into an escalation. And the escalation here, the Mason-Dixon line is not going to be a physical border. It's not going to be a regular border. The Mason-Dixon line, we have a civil conflict happening. It's not kinetic, luckily, even though we're talking about somebody being unlived. These are like kind of separate incidents. It's not like a full kinetic thing, but it's a digital thing for sure. So the informational thing. The Mason-Dixon line, I have said that from the start, is critical theory of race, critical theory of gender. That's the dividing line. Unliving fetuses is not going to be what sparks this thing. I know some people believe it is. I could be wrong, but people like Tim Pool, maybe even Luke Rudowski might believe that. I do not believe that at all. The unliving fetuses issue is not an issue that's being spun into removing First Amendment rights. It's not at all. You can turn any shooting into a anti-2A thing. But the critical theory critical theory at its face value is a 1A issue. First Amendment free speech issue. Separation, that's not in the Constitution. That's a controversial statement. But the freedom of religion, because critical theory is a religion. So that it's a 1A issue along with the platform. So the whole conflict right now, the whole civil conflict is a 1A conflict. Unliving fetuses is not a 1A conflict. It's a constitutional debate, but not 1A. So the critical theory is a religion, and it's about people trying to force it on each other. You go back to history, that's how things are tied to serious situations escalating, is religion, because that's why they made it the First Amendment. That's the Mason-Dixon line. I'm going to see if anybody in the chat, Ray, what's up? Friend of the show, Ray Studios, in the chat. No, I'm no diss to Tim Pool. Albert says Tim Pool equal Dim Pool. No diss to Tim Pool. I just disagree that it's going to be, I think he says unliving fetuses is going to be the civil kind of the thing that sparks it. No. It's 1A. It's the First Amendment. That's why I said when MAGA takes over, they got to work on that. But let's go back to see how the other side views it. This person right here says that they were gonna leave Twitter. Everybody leaving Twitter. He said, the video I did is not even a day old, basically, on CBS leaving Twitter. They already announced they're back this morning. Breaking my self-imposed Twitter silence to offer some context for last night's mass shooting. This is Jay Ulfelder. Since early 2021, the right, there we go, already. The right has increasingly, we're talking about somebody being unlived, 5 people being unlived, others injured. And now we're coming with the right. They don't do this with Frank James. They don't do this with Darrell Brooks. They don't do it with, what's his name? Was it Shannon? I forgot the name of the guy who ran, with the car and the young conservative. They don't do it with anything other than the causes they care about. The right has increasingly mobilized against the queer community, with drag shows being a particular focal point. You can speak out against. I just did a video that was actually in favor of not drag, but if you're dressed appropriately and they didn't brand it as that, I have no problem with it. I just did a video that YouTube demonetized it. So this is a complicated issue. They would throw me into this right. I don't consider myself a right person or conservative. They would throw me into this bucket without taking the time to look at nuances and nuanced conversation. Even with Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh is not really, his takes are not radical. He's like, if you're 18 or older, go ahead and do your gender reassignment. There's no problem. There's no beef. How's that a radical take? That's his whole take, basically. I mean, so there's nothing radical there. But now you're seeing monthly counts of anti-LGBTQ plus demonstrations in the U.S. And you're seeing that it's rising from 2017 on the left to 2022. Well, that happened through Black Lives Matter, was also a queer movement. They specifically on the website told you and attached it to that. And then that movement was basically just an anti-Trump, anti-populist movement. So the populists are going to push back. The politicians say, hey, you're hateful. And, the populace are like, wait, I'm not hateful. I just have this opinion. So that's why you're seeing that stuff pushed back and it's escalating. That's not a blame on the right. That's a blame on the corporatists, the left, the right, everybody. But you see how they take. It's all on the right. Jay goes on to say, note too that the rhetoric used in this hate campaign has increasingly tilted towards bad situations. 2 signs from the Matt Walsh-led rally in Nashville. When he had the rally, Tulsi Gabbard was there and others. It was something that was, these are 2 signs that are, to me, cross the line. But when you see these things, and this person said there's open calls to do this. There's people on both sides of the line that are crossing the line. And that, to me, Matt Walsh didn't have that sign. He didn't condone that sign. It's just no different than the BLM protests when people did bad things during the protest. They said, well, they're not really with BLM. Okay, then we have the same conversation here. You can have the exact same conversation here. Going on, that was just to give you a taste of where they're coming from. I was watching MSNBC, and this person, Brandy Zadronsi, was on MSNBC just a few hours ago when I was watching it. And she's a senior reporter, and she was talking about libs of TikTok and literally blamed libs of TikTok. She said the type of people that follow libs of TikTok, I follow libs of TikTok, and Elon Musk, and blamed Elon Musk for this as well. So that's where you're going. You're going to see lawsuits coming. If something happens, I don't know. But I said I can criticize whatever I want to and be legal and peaceful at the same time. We're entering very dangerous ground. This is a very serious thing to accuse people of being involved in unliving others. And I talked about the Mason-Dixon line. It was all set up through AJ. AJ making basically it was a trial on stochastic terrorism. They made it a civil offense where they could sue him for over $1 billion, which sounds crazy. Now, I guarantee you somebody's going to do the same to Matt Walsh. The only reason they wouldn't do it to you and me is because we don't have any money, power, or influence. That's the only reason. So if you say something that people in power don't like, and there's a tragedy that happens, you don't need any direct connection. They'll just connect you because you said something negative and this happened. We need the Supreme Court to step in immediately. Here's the name of the dude. Shannon Brandt was the one that struck Republican extremist teen charged with unliving. And I didn't hear anybody on the left say anything about stochastic terrorism from the left. It only goes one way. And this is the feedback. So I did have it on here. This is the feedback I have for Tulsi, Matt Walsh, libs of TikTok, Shannon. We've got to start talking about how do we live together. That's how we have to solve it. And I think Matt Walsh is kind of doing that by saying, hey, this is the line 18 or older for me. But you need to have that discussion with people. So and when he did What is a Woman, that was more, it wasn't exactly the same discussion. I don't know how we're going to have that discussion, but that's what needs to happen. So this person, Shannon, blocked me here, but I'm going to end with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, tragically, 300 Americans die of this poisoning every day from the drug that begins with F, and Biden says and does nothing. Tragically, 5 people were unlived in this incident, and Biden immediately demands a ban on assault weapons. The solutions are this: secure the border and stop the drugs, defend our right to keep and bear arms so that people can defend themselves from unlivers who could care less about laws. It's a fair point. And so she's having her take on it. So my takeaway from that is, why can't we agree that they're both issues and then go from there? Right now we don't. There's no agreement there. So let me know what you think. I'm going to take a look at the comments. Watching some football, the Browns, I think the Browns lost, right? I got my little Browns little. It's like a tablet holder. Dieter Andrew, friend of show, says nothing surprises me after Joe 2020 and Feder Bump. I haven't heard that one. I'm just gonna keep stealing these ideas from y'all. Dieter, Feder Bump. That's one of my favorites. Feder Bump winning Pennsylvania, and Dot from Mad TV getting. Dieter came in with jokes. Y'all remember Mad TV? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Dot from Mad TV is a good one. Let me see if I can. Uh, Dot from Mad TV talking about Katie Hobbs. Mad TV was dope. I liked Mad TV. I forgot one of their episodes was so funny. It just had me dying back in the day. I forget which one. Is this Dot? Yep. This is Dot. Well, this is the Dot reference. I haven't seen this in years.
Okay, fine. Shut up.
Wait, why is there music on it?
Also one of 7 languages in which I'm fluent. I'm currently a college sophomore equivalent.
Kind of reminds me of Pat from Saturday Night. I don't think I was sharing my screen with the Dot. I always go back on my browser and leave the. I gotta turn that setting off using the mouse pad. But it's on. Let me. Do I have it shared? Dot. This is Dot from Mad TV.
And I've recently been accepted to the graduate programs at MIT, Princeton.
That is an old school.
Underneath the swing set.
This is an old school reference right here.
I'm just Dot's spirit, and I'm floating around.
Mad TV was funny, man. But I used to read the Mad magazines. Anybody remember Mad magazines? I used to read those. I used to get them from the library. Jason Bracey says, so why would a logical human even want any power now? Interesting. I think you're right. That's why you only have narcissists that really, if you're talking about like president and such, that's why you only have narcissists looking for it. Oh, this is an interesting one. Ghost59able says, we need a philosophy beyond the framework the French established, this political duality. Yeah, that's a very good point. We're kind of trapped into limited options. Spy versus Spy in the magazine. What's up, Hike Martin? Spy versus Spy. Yep, the little goofy little cartoons that were in the Mad magazine. Those were good. Those were good back in the day. The Lead Elite says, back when TV shows were good. I think we need a new version of All in the Family. I don't watch any sitcoms or anything like that anymore at all. So we're really well. We're beyond that age of where sitcoms were actually funny, and All in the Family was actually a really powerful sitcom. Probably the last one that I watched was Seinfeld. Seinfeld was a very, very powerful sitcom. Simpsons still living on. I believe The Simpsons predicted Donald Trump in 2024. Is that accurate? So The Simpsons is the legacy of The Simpsons is still going on. I'm gonna go and switch topics here in a second. There's this dude that did a great MAGA communist type video. I've seen it once. I want to watch it again. I hope there's not. I think there was some music in it. Hopefully, it's not going to be copywritten or anything. But let me show you this. Oh, thanks, Dieter. Super chat, awesome. You showed folks Dot. Yep, you took me back. Thanks for the super chat, Dieter. That's a good reference, man. That's my heyday. We're talking, what was Mad TV? Was it about 2000? Could I even go back to Living Color that was in the 90s, man? They had some good hip hop on there. And because back then, believe it or not, Saturday, if you don't know, Saturday Night Live was the the gold standard of those type of shows. And then I remember in Living Color is the one that stepped up, and I was like, man, this is better. It had Jim Carrey and the Wayans on there. It was, man, it was good. And then Mad TV came after that, I believe, which Mad TV was not as good as in Living Color to me, but it had some great moments. So thanks for the memories there. Let's look at this. The Yankee Tanky. Don't fall for this isn't even about DeSantis. The truth is that he's talking about uniting against the Uniparty, basically. Let me see what music's on here.
Like DeSantis gear themselves to tear apart the MAGA movement.
So I don't even know who this is, but he's right in the same lane that I'm talking about. So I gotta kind of hit him up. But he's talking about, I'm not going into the DeSantis stuff on this. I just like the idea of coming together. He called himself a MAGA communist.
I myself consider myself a MAGA communist, and there are many of us.
So he did a little Jackson Hinkle shout out here. I'm like, I'm right with you, bruh.
And there are many of us. And likewise, there's many traditional MAGA Republicans.
So this is a perfect topic to talk about with this unliving in Colorado Springs. This person here is open to the left and the right. These are the type of people you got to connect with. Like, if you want any type of saving this country, is not going to happen with only the people in this room here. You got to branch out. This is a great movement. Don't get me wrong. This is the energy. That's where it starts. And I think this might have been the inspiration for, I can't speak for them, but for me it is the inspiration for the MAGA communist type of thing. The people in this room, to see how good this is, to say, hey, I want to kind of be a part of that as a populist, but I don't actually agree with everything in the, people might in that room agree with. So this is a perfect topic.
Many people who are patriots for this country. Our forces must combine. Our forces.
See, I like that. He has, I don't know who that is there, but he has them, giving dap to between kind of the left and right. That's almost like the meme of the two guys from each side holding hands or giving dap.
Must unite against the global imperialists. Must unite against the elitist agenda, must unite against the neoliberal world order. But most importantly, we must unite against DeSantis, who is trying to rip apart everything that MAGA represents.
I do agree with him on DeSantis. That's not the reason why I'm playing this, though.
For the roots of MAGA. MAGA started before Donald Trump. MAGA started when the militia movement in the 1990s. The MAGA movement started back in the 1930s and 1940s when the working class stood against the globalists.
So you want to know, how do you tie MAGA to this communist idea? He's really just trying to tie it into the working class, fight that's been going on since the Great Depression. Is really all it is. So don't get thrown off by the communist label.
Stood against the capitalists, stood against those who were trying to destroy this country. They fought in the West Virginian coal mines.
You can see this is an ally. He's saying that the coal miners, who right now you probably would put them more on the right side or populist side, he's like, that's the worker, that's the battle of workers. This is the fight of workers against the Uniparty. So this is not a political enemy. Whether you agree or not on everything, you've got to be able to identify who's your ally or who's not on certain issues.
They fought in the mountains of Blair Mountain. They fought against this agenda that's being pushed down the throats of the American people. The only reason this country exists is because of the MAGA working class, is because the revolutionary instinct of the militia movement, and only exist because we decided that enough was enough. We must stand. We must fight. This is MAGA. We are about making America great again.
I think that's someone, I don't know his ideology, but I think that's somebody, believe it or not, coming from the left. Jackson Hinkle is on the left. That's not from Jackson Hinkle, but he had Jackson Hinkle early on in the video here, right here, showing that to me looks like he's coming from the left. Breaking news, though. Project Veritas has been reinstated from in Twitter, is what I'm hearing here. Let's take a look. I'm seeing breaking news as we speak. Let's look at it right on Twitter. A lot of news came in this weekend. Twitter was supposed to die, what was it, Friday night or Saturday morning? Then all of a sudden Trump came back. Then all of a sudden you got the World Cup. a lot of stuff going on through ALX. Now, who is ALX? Everybody was talking about him coming back on Twitter. I have no idea who he is. Somebody let me know. ALX says breaking. Project Veritas. I'm following them now because I follow a lot of people I follow with, kind of talking about them. Project Veritas. Their Twitter account has been reinstated. They're back. That's a pretty big deal because they are a well-resourced news organization. And if they can get on Twitter and Twitter doesn't have algorithms against them, you could see they're the type of organization that could get. The challenge is to break out because of the crypto challenge with the F pause, T pause, X. The challenge is getting that news off of social media into the eyes of common people, your neighbors and all that. Project Veritas, for some reason, they have the ability to kind of get more reach. So looks like they're back. Project Veritas, we know they've exposed all kinds of work. They exposed Twitter. And I believe this is from the Twitter expose. Let me see here. Yeah, the Twitter exec. Yeah, yep. This is the Twitter exec from Project Veritas. 9.5. I don't know how they break the silo of social media and go on out. I don't know how they are able to do that.
Well, right now we don't make profit, so it's going to say ideology, which is what's led us to not being profitable.
This is very pertinent now. So Elon comes in, he's like, "What the hell? They're losing $4 million a day. Like, what are we doing? How is that funded? I don't even know how that math works out." But this person, lead client partner, says, "Well, we're losing money."
Well, right now we don't make profit, so it's going to say ideology, which is what's led us to not being profitable.
The rest of us who have been here believe in something that's good for the planet and not just to give people free speech. Because again, like
he said, we are doing what's good. We know what's good for the planet. And then you can see his face. He knows he's like, yeah, this is cringe. And not just to give people free speech. And as he says it, his face, you can see he's like, yeah. He literally cringed while he said it.
Been here, believe in something that's good for the planet and not just to give people free speech.
He looked around to see if anybody was listening. And he was being recorded while that was all going down. And so I play that to just reiterate the importance of Project Veritas. ALX said the next to be unbanned should be Project Veritas. And I will say it's good to see them back. Is that obviously good to see them back? They should be back. But Bryson Gray had the right take on this. You want to know why I mess with Bryson Gray? Bryson Gray, I saw no lies detected in this one. Looks like Bryson Gray's had enough of this whole polls and all this kind of stuff. Even if the polls aren't the real reason why someone's back, it's disrespectful. Bryson Gray says, people are mad at me for not voting on Elon Musk's poll about reinstating Trump. You're either for freedom of speech or you're not. I'm not voting on something that should be clear. Begging for God-given rights isn't American at all. Sorry, bud. To help me find the lie. I don't think Elon used the poll to get on. He kind of said, the people have spoken. I'm reinstating Trump. He never said, I'm reinstating Trump because the people voted on this poll. Don't read in between the lines with Elon Musk. But the poll was to get bots or whatever, but still, the poll is disrespectful. Now you have people begging, well, what about this person? What about that person? Kind of going to Elon like he's the controller of free speech. So I like Elon, but we still have a long way to go. We're begging Elon. He's not giving any reason. Why are these people, why are they reinstated? Did you change the terms or what's happening? How is this happen? How do we know if someone should be banned or not now? There's more confusion. And I think he's fine with that because he knows it generates chatter. But I have to criticize it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So going through, there's a couple other topics I had, but let me take a look at the chat, see if make sure I'm not missing anything. Yes, I know. The best account ever. It is maga. It's not. Is it an oxymoron? Is it technically an oxymoron? I guess it's like an oxymoron. It really, it's like a class. It's like wearing clothes that don't match. But I think, I don't know. I don't know if the marketing is not effective. It's just not effective. You might know. I had a MAGA communist shirt made up on Spring Tea, and they took it down. They're fine with the MAGA, but not the communist. So I don't know if that marketing is going to work. I fully support it because these are just words, but these words don't mean anything anymore. They're just basically changing the word, though. They're using stochastic in front of it, but they're really changing the word to terrorism to you saying something they don't agree with. None of these words mean anything. Fascism, all that stuff. So what does communism even mean to people now? What does socialism mean to people? I don't know. Because all I know is when I watched the video from that dude, that his intent, I'm fully supportive of. So I think we have to look more on actions than these labels. And I like a lot of people on the populist left who are not afraid of communism or leftism. They use it as branding. So it does not rub me the wrong way as much. When you look at communism as far as like people trying to control freedom of speech, then that's a problem. That's not the type of, I guess there's different types of ways people view this socialism and communism. And I think that's the big thing. Let's look at Trump. Trump just announced a big speech. We covered it on the channel. I thought it was a great speech. I wanted to break it down. I have not yet, though, like sentence by sentence almost. But very good speech. The Morning Consult says, a populist Twitter account, as Trump announces his re-election run, our data shows that the former president is still in the driver's seat for 2024, but he looks more beatable than before, leading his would-be challenger by just 14 points in a hypothetical Republican primary. So there's polls coming out. You might have seen polls that even showed DeSantis beating Donald Trump. And you see, if you're looking at it here, if it were held today, we see that we have anywhere from Trump winning 48% to DeSantis 26%, or Trump 47% and DeSantis 33%. Mike Pence, I don't know why he would even be on there. Other than any type of shenanigans, he would have no chance. But, I mean, our process of choosing leaders is not the most ideal, so I would never put anything past it for Mike Pence to get the nomination if you can do that. If you can kind of taint the process, then anything can happen. I want to find the CBS. Here we go. No. Wait, this is old. I thought CBS News came back on. CBS News, we aren't biased. Also CBS News, now that Elon Musk reinstated Trump, we can't be on Twitter anymore. I thought they came back. Maybe I'm wrong. I retweeted it. I thought they had a statement that they came back to Twitter. After pausing, so this was at 7:36 a.m. I wonder if they made another announcement. At 7:36 a.m. Mountain Time, CBS News PR said after pausing for much of the weekend to assess the security concerns, CBS News and stations is resuming its activity on Twitter as we continue to monitor the situation. So it says they're resuming it. Let me see if there's another tweet. They retweeted 60 Minutes. They're just retweeting 60 Minutes. They got Face the Nation. Who wants to hear what Mike Pence has to say? Let's see here. They're waiting for the J6 final report. Nobody cares. I didn't hear anything about them in Twitter. Because the way that Tim was talking about it, it sounded like they were going to be off again, off the platform again. Yeah, that's before, so I don't know. That's the last note I got is CBS News is back. They said after most of the weekend, they had tweeted that early Sunday morning. Are they counting Friday? I mean, that was half the weekend. It wasn't even a day. They couldn't leave Twitter for a day. It's very similar to ALC has done the same thing multiple times. Let me take a look at the chat here before I go out. Yeah, I usually don't get to stream in the Sundays, but I guess got a little bit of time right now. So thanks for stopping by. What the heck is MAGA communism that makes no sense? Not an anonymous. So MAGA communism, do you guys understand, or maybe I'll specifically not an anonymous, how much do you know about the populist left? I started this video because I'm concerned about where we're heading with the country, and it's a very bad place. That's what's going to spark civil conflict is this debate over the First Amendment, especially with using identity groups saying you can't say anything criticizing the way, and not even criticizing an identity group, anything that has to do with the way that, because I think they're being manipulated. So anything that you criticize turns into hate speech, and then that turns into a very dangerous place. The populist left and the populist right. We got Bernie Sanders, you got Jimmy Dore. They're more on the left. Jimmy Dore is more authentic, I would say. And then you have Steve Bannon on the right. All MAGA communism is like, I like Jimmy Dore and I like Steve Bannon. That's all it is. That's all. That's literally all. And I fall under that. I'm a big Jimmy Dore fan and a huge Bannon fan. I align more with Bannon, but that's all it is. Let's go here. Unfair. I'm just looking at the comments here. I just want to edit them before I say them. Okay, communism is the unattainable ideal form of socialism. Yeah, I'm not good with separating. I am not good with separating communism from socialism. Because I think what Hayek, it was that Hayek Markman that said that? Yeah. Hayek, I think that's my view of it. Communism is total government control, but socialism goes down the same path. So that's I don't know. I'm going to take a hard left turn right now. Squishalicious. This is an article from The Sun. Body positive, and this is via this young lady right here. Why is that in my way? Please get out of my way. They say I go from a 5 to a 10 when I take my robe off, which I think is perfectly fine. That's what I want to talk about. This is a young lady here. Body positive. I'm chubby. People say I go from a 5 to a 10 when I take my robe off. They call me. This is the whole reason I want to even share this article. Have you ever heard of Squishylicious? I think that's a dope name. That's a dope nickname. If you like, and I think she's a very attractive woman, right? I think just based on those pictures, at least, there's nothing wrong there. It's a very solid name, Squishylicious. I saw this article earlier today, and it's still in my head. Squishylicious. What a dope reference. What a dope nickname there. Hollywood may be dominated by super thin stars, but sexy women of all shapes and sizes get love on social media, as one outgoing TikToker has revealed. Absolutely. Ruby, who goes by the TikTok handle Get It Together Ruby. Get It Together Ruby. Right here. Describes herself as chubby and says people tell her she goes from a 5 to 10 when she reveals more skin. Okay. They say I go from 5 to 10 when I take my robe off. However you like. I mean, I don't have a problem with the body positivity movement. Now, you do. The thing that I would caution, though, is that we still have to play by the rules of nature. So some things are more healthy than others. So you just can't be out here being like, I'm body positive and not really understanding that there is a health aspect of it as well. And with the TikToks TikTok has played a big role on this. I'm seeing a lot of women on TikTok, and she's not even I'm seeing like really, really big women on TikTok kind of, in spandex, or not spandex, but leggings and all that kind of stuff. And that's what her TikTok is like. I won't play that here, but it's almost like celebrating, which is fine. And her body's it's not crazy like some of the other ones I've said. Her body was completely covered. So in one TikTok video, Ruby recorded herself wearing satin mint green robe with a black lace around the sleeve cuffs. Her body was completely covered as text on the screen read, "They say I go from a 5 to 10. And that's the one that you saw the picture there. She swayed and slightly bounced as the video transitioned. This is becoming a big thing on TikTok. I think TikTok has, if you're into something, it's probably on TikTok. The video cut to Ruby sitting on her bed wearing a revealing brown swimsuit. She smiled in the super low cut and high-rise one piece which showcased her cleavage and her hips. What do you think? She asked in the caption. Oh my God, stunning, 10 all the way, someone commented. While another wrote, you go from 10 to 100. And you see that on every one of these. So we're entering a new age where it might be good, where you can get people who, everybody has different preferences, which is perfectly fine. And what we could be getting is TikTok will get the people that like your preference to you, because they're the best with the algorithm. So TikTok should probably come out with a dating app, shouldn't they? They should probably integrate it. I don't know if they have or not. They should probably integrate dating with the app. Their algorithm is so good, I think they could connect people better than most other companies. But yeah, I just got my Yaira shirt. Eric July, Rip a Verse, represent. Really happy with it. I got a Yaira shirt. I got a Yaira poster too. So I have a green screen here. I might go without the green screen, maybe try to get like a bookcase or something and do like a mini fake studio. I got a nice desk, but I'm in the basement with just like insulation behind me. So I can put up the Yaira poster maybe. And then some other, got me into comic books. I'm waiting for the ISOM 2. They're working hard on it. They just fulfilled the ISOM 1. Congratulations to the Rippaverse team. One of the few people, I got to get a Ray Studio shirt too. One of the few people I will rep their gear on the show and instead of mine. The gaslighting of the body positive movement annoys me. Yeah, I hate that too. Everything gets turned into a weapon. Hike Martin says, I'm not against the populist left, but that isn't communism. Yeah, I know. I agree. I think these words just, they don't mean anything anymore. People call fascism whatever they want to call it nowadays. The lead elite says, yeah, no, sorry, I don't support fat acceptance. It's nihilism. Yeah, you can. I would say, as far as your preference of who to be with or watch or whatever, that's fine. But yeah. So I think TikTok does a good job. If you're not into something, you won't see it on TikTok. That's for sure. Any other topics going on? I think those are the major ones I had. Going through some of the other kind of the breaking news, kind of not breaking news, but topics that are being thrown around right now. Babylon Bee is going hard. Babylon Bee is so great right now. They're going ham on these things. Babylon Bee's one of the latest headlines I've seen. Babylon Bee says after Trump got reinstated, they say 13 billion unlived after Trump unbanned from Twitter. As if like him coming back from Twitter is going to hurt people. Just their headlines are great. You got to read their articles too. They're very short. I haven't read that one. I just saw that one earlier today, but the little paragraphs they put in there is funny too. The other topic, there was one other topic, AZ, Arizona. Big topic with Arizona. There is the Arizona AG open investigation. So we've got some stuff going on in there. I said that I have moved on mentally, probably just to protect my emotions. Let's see if I have it here. Yep, just the news. Let me pull this up. Let me end on this one. It's good. You've got to battle this, because if you don't, it's just going to get worse. So there's all these questions, and the Arizona Attorney General's office has opened an inquiry into Maricopa County. We're back at Maricopa County again. Their handling of the midterm elections, demanding a full report of well-publicized irregularities, and warning there is evidence of statutory violations. Excuse me. The letter from Attorney General Mark Brnovich, Election Integrity Unit, they're putting a lot of pressure on Mark Brnovich on this, marks a major escalation in the dispute over how voters were treated on Election Day in the state's largest county, where scores of ballot tabulators had problems because of printing. There's literally because of toner, some type of toner issue. I don't fully understand what the toner issue was. They said they practiced or were prepared the day before, so I don't know what. The problems delayed the declaration of a winner in the razor-thin state attorney race and led GOP gubernatorial candidate Carrie Lake to question as premature. So she has not conceded that race. The letter sent Saturday from Assistant Attorney General Jennifer Wright to the county's Chief Civil Division Attorney Thomas Liddy demanded a full report on how the tabulator and printer issues were handled, as well as a copy of each voting location's official ballot report, including any discrepancies and explanations. We never figured out what happened in Maricopa County before, and the people are trying to figure out what's happening now. I'm not questioning anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm just saying right now they're trying to get more information so they can figure out what are the next steps. Without the data, like what happened, what are the discrepancies we have here, we don't know what the next steps are. So the complaints are not speculation, firsthand witness accounts and all that kind of stuff. So you can read, there's a full letter on there. If you go to Twitter and search, I'll leave out with this. You can go to Twitter and go to the Carrie Lake War Room, and they have that about 41 minutes ago. They tweeted that, but it's been talked about since last night. Really good news. Really good news to see them continue that, and that will help. I don't think anything's going to happen for this election, but you've got to keep putting pressure on for the next one. Hike Martin, and I'm going to separate the topics so we don't have any YouTube beef. In Michigan, they've kind of factored this all in. Berserker says fully half the machines had problems. It's too incompetent to be by accident. Absolutely. That's one hell of an accident if you're going to argue that's an accident. Sabotaging the day of Republican heavy vote, and apparently always in red districts. Yep, if this were a blue district, if this were an urban district, there would be hell to pay. A full, transparent, bipartisan investigation would renew my faith in election. And I'm back. No, I don't know if a full this is the tweet or the comment. The lead elite said a full, transparent, bipartisan investigation. I don't think that's even possible. Because when you say bipartisan, you would have to have people who are MAGA leading the investigation, and I don't think they'll do that. They'll fight the whole way. So I don't know what the answers are. I know, Ray. I'm going back on my I'm going back on my mouse pad to like scroll on the screen, and it's taking me out of StreamYard, and it doesn't give you the pop-up when you do that says, do you really want to leave? So I just literally left my own live. But that's it. That's all I had. Thanks for checking it out. I'm still working on the Nancy Pelosi. I want to give my final tribute to the sexy one, the one that I love. I'm sad to see her lose her power, Nancy Pelosi. So check for that on the channel. Maybe I can get that done for tomorrow. We'll see. I'll holla at y'all. Peace.